Oh, Hecate, it's been so long since we've had a Slumber PJ party,
Bertha squealed, clasping her hands together.
Remind me why we've waited so long?
One word. Adulting.
Prudence replied dryly, holding the cocktail in her hand as she adjusted her glasses with the other.
Still, it's nice. What's the occasion, Lydia?
Oh, not much.
Lydia hedged, twisting her fingers behind her back. True, she'd missed her friends, but there was definitely a method to her madness. She needed to be cautious, or her friends might catch on too quickly. She wasn't exactly worried about Bertha. The woman was just as flighty as ever, always dazzled by the shiniest of objects or ideas and insane at the mention of a man. Prudence, however, was another story. Short and unassuming, most people constantly underestimated her, which usually turned out to be a mistake. That said, they were easily the most loyal friends Lydia could have asked for. No matter the antics, they were always down to participate, which made these two perfect for what she and Beetlejuice were planning. Since Bertha and Prudence have known about Lydia's ability to see ghosts for years now, it was easy for them to believe Lydia when she recounted her adventures in the theme park. For the most part, they had listened with rapt attention, their eyes wide with wonder and excitement. But when she finally mentioned Beetlejuice's involvement and his latest predicament, the two of them exchanged nervous glances.
That guy?
Bertha's tone left no room to guess how she felt about the poltergeist.
The predator who tried to marry you when you were a kid? Why would you want to help him?
Prudence worriedly covered Lydia's hand with her own.
Is this some sort of delayed Stockholm syndrome?
Lydia cringed.
It's been over 30 years. That would be one hell of a delay, Prue.
She sighed and shrugged.
I don't know why I feel like helping him. I could say it's because I knew when I took his deal that I'd never marry him, but...
She shook her head and bit her lip nervously.
There might be another reason.
Bertha snorted.
Is he hot? He's super hot, isn't he?
Lydia paused, staring upward and pondering how she wanted to answer the question, but the damage had already been done. Prudence sighed and shook her head.
He's hot.
It's not that he's hot,
Lydia protested, her pale face turning a blistering shade of pink.
In fact, he's not hot at all. I feel guilty, that's all. You guys didn't see how lifeless it was in there. Well, if you felt so bad about it, then how come you never said anything?
Bertha shrugged, then beamed up at Lydia.
Hell, for a hot dead guy, I'll help. Does he have any brothers?
Lydia's eyes widened.
I hope not.
Evidently tired of their antics, Prudence cut into the conversation.
Since you've established that you need actual assistance, we'd be terrible friends if we let you go back to that place alone. How can we help?
Maybe she wants to go back alone,
Bertha piped, her expression full of glee.
Maybe she wants to take the hottie on one of those rides, and... I'm trying to free him, not fuck him,
Lydia yelled, grimacing at how loud her voice sounded.
But I do need your help with it.
Prudence tapped her chin thoughtfully, her eyes scanning invisible numbers in the air.
Considering the time and the vastness of the theme park you described, coupled with potential variables and unforeseen circumstances, there's a 72% chance that our efforts to help Beetlejuice will be futile.
Bertha waved a dismissive hand.
Who cares? We're going to a theme park for the dead, Prue. Get your priorities straight.
Prudence shook her head but smirked.
As much as it pains me, I have to admit that it does sound like fun. Well, Lydia, I'm in. We should probably get going. After all, every second counts.
But,
Lydia warned, holding up a finger,
there are some risks to this.
Bertha started to say something, but Prudence slapped her hand over the other woman's mouth and glared before turning to Lydia.
What risks?
Well, she started, shifting in her seat.
There's a chance we can get separated from our bodies. Oh, shit, said Bertha. Sounds like a pretty big risk to me, Lids. But,
Lydia held up a waiting hand.
There will be a cord right here.
She pointed to her gut. Before they could continue, she explained how to get back if anything wrong should happen while they were there. After all, they would have to split up to cover the whole park. It wouldn't do for them to go in blind. After she was done, she let the information sink in before asking,
Are you still in?
Bertha and Prudence looked at each other and grinned simultaneously.
We're in,
they said in unison. Lydia watched as Bertha and Prudence quickly dragged their sleeping bags inside the circle of salt that Lydia had drawn. Better safe than sorry, she had thought when adding more protection to their spell. They each sat on their sleeping bags cross-legged with their eyes locked onto the flickering flames of the candles in the center. Then they recited the incantation together, and Lydia felt the air around them grow charged with energy. When they finished, the energy dissipated. Knowing that she had done everything she could to protect them in the astral plane, Lydia blew out the candles. Now all they had to do was fall asleep, and sleep they did. Quick as anything, as soon as their eyes closed, they felt themselves travel. When they arrived, Lydia watched as her friends flickered in and out of sight as they adjusted their conscious mind to the outlandish environment.
Holy shit!
Bertha cried once she could see her surroundings. Poor, logical Prudence had a hard time figuring it out, but when she did, her eyes widened to the size of dinner plates.
Whoa.
That's right, ladies.
Beetlejuice called out to them, leaping out from behind the shooting gallery. He was no longer wearing his jumpsuit, but a general's uniform.
This place is bigger than a sandworm's blowhole.
Prudence stared at him with disbelief.
And how would you know that? Have you taken measurements?
Beetlejuice grinned.
Trust me, Four Eyes, I've seen it up close and personal. We're on a mission, and we've got no time to lose.
Bertha sidled up to Lydia and murmured,
You kinky bitch.
Lydia elbowed her, but Bertha just got closer and whispered,
I get what you see in him. That badonkadonk is thick. So glad you noticed, sweet cheeks.
Beetlejuice leered in their direction and waggled his ass at them.
You can give me your number when we're not on a damn schedule.
The words and attention thrown so casually at Bertha rankled Lydia to no end, but she refused to acknowledge why.
Now,
Beetlejuice clapped his hands hard.
Everyone take a look at your shiny little breather chains. I'm sure my bride here,
he motioned at Lydia, who pursed her lips and blushed,
has explained how to get out of a sticky situation. Prune,
he pointed at Prudence.
You can go south, and Burp,
he pointed to Bertha.
You can take the east side. Lids and I will go west, and we all meet up north near the big top. Don't touch anything you don't want to notice ya. Wreak havoc. Go, go, go!
In a blink, Beetlejuice snatched up Lydia's hand and tugged, taking off into a sprint due west. Lydia balked, but her legs complied. Settling into a light jog, Lydia stared at their entwined hands. His grip was firm, and his touch sent a tingling sensation up her arm. How was he touching her? None of the ghosts had been able to touch her.
Oh my God.
Lydia breathed, the pieces finally clicking together in her mind.
You've been able to touch me from the start.
Beetlejuice threw up his head and laughed.
Took you long enough. Been able to since the moment you slammed that hammer on my poor pinky toe. But
Lydia stammered.
You haven't hurt me.
They came to a screeching halt with sound effects and all. The poltergeist looked down at her, eyes cold and steely.
Now why on Saturn would I want to do a thing like that?
Beetlejuice drawled. He tisked and shook his head, clearly disappointed by her insinuation.
I thought you knew me better than that.
And it did not appear to be an act. Beetlejuice's sneer was quick to cover his hurt expression, but it wasn't quick enough to fool Lydia, and for some reason that hurt Lydia.
I didn't mean... Yeah, whatever,
he grumbled, and tugged on her hand again, clearly not interested in continuing the conversation.
Let's hit it.
As they walked and quickened their pace, Lydia thought about how to salvage the tentative friendship she'd achieved with the ghost, and was surprised to realize that she really wanted to save it quite badly. She decided the less she thought about why the better. Best to follow her instincts and just go with the flow. She did, however, feel the need to defend herself.
How am I supposed to know you weren't holding a grudge against me and just waiting for an opportunity to get revenge? Oh, believe me,
he chuckled darkly.
I'm holding a grudge, just not against you, Snookums,
he cooed, chucking her lightly on the chin.
Babs, on the other hand,
he trailed off with a menacing promise. Lydia's eyes widened as she swatted away his hand.
You leave her alone.
He held up a hand and gave her an apologetic smile.
I'm just kidding. I'm serious,
she said, her voice low.
I'm the one who didn't go through with our deal.
Beetlejuice turned to look at her and grinned.
There's still time.
He winked.
Now how about we start here?
He motioned to a ride before them.
Lover's Lagoon?
Lydia glared at him.
This a date?
The poltergeist gave her a shit-eating grin and shrugged his shoulders innocently.
You tell me, babe.
She rolled her eyes and turned before he could catch her smirk.
Don't hold your breath. I can't.
he replied jovially.
I'm dead.
He cackled but pulled her along to get in the boat ride.
After you, my dear.
And like the gentleman he was not, Beetlejuice bowed and helped her into her seat, and then settled next to her as close as he could get away with before Lydia shoved at him. Undaunted, he snickered and then yawned dramatically as he placed his arm over Lydia's shoulders. The move was so lame that Lydia laughed. But they both noticed that she made no move to dislodge his hold or move away. Thank you for listening. You can find the written version of this story by clicking the link in the description. Please like and subscribe for more. And let me know what you think of this story.